Now, this is the most important step in your sales process. Remember the process, point of contact, we're going to have a meeting, and then we're going to try to close the deal at that meeting. And in that meeting, we have to have a great presentation and a great conversation with our potential client. So here's what I need you to do. You need to do two major things right now. The first thing I need you to do is list out 3 to 5 objections the customer is going to give you. 3 to 5 reasons they won't want to buy your product or service. I need you to do that. Go ahead and list those out. Even if you have to pause this audio, go ahead and do that. But I want you to list out 3 to 5 reasons your customers won't buy, why they'll hesitate in making a decision. So pause this audio, do that, and then hit the play again. Now, I assume you've listed out 3 to 5 objections your customer might have and reasons for not buying. Now, here's a simple presentation process, not a sales process. This is a presentation process that I want you to list down. This is what I've come up with, is the simplest sales process, or rather presentation process, that you can use when presenting your product. And if you want to do it effectively, this is the formula. Listen carefully. So again, we're talking to the customer. It's one-on-one or one-on-two if we're talking to a couple. The first step is to really empathize with their position. Understand what they're going through. Understand what they need by asking a lot of open-ended questions. Remember, open-ended questions opens up the dialogue. A closed-ended question typically is a question that can be answered with a simple yes, no, and it's really used to confirm information. Ask a lot of open-ended questions. My strategy, my formula is 3 open-ended questions, 1 closed-ended question. Okay, a lot of open-ended questions. For example, can you tell me more about that? Can you tell me why something like this might be useful for you? Get the idea? Those are open-ended questions. A closed-ended question is, are you ready to make a decision? Yes or no. See, that's a closed-ended question. Are you ready to go forward? Yes or no. That's a closed-ended question. You want to be careful with those. Open-ended questions allow you to empathize with the customer more. So that's the first step in our presentation process. Let us empathize with our customer. Once we've listened and we've gathered enough information, the next step is to educate the customer on our product and how it matches their needs based on the questions we've asked. Now, it's during the education process. The step here is that you want to provide insight. Remember that? Where we talk about our feature benefits, but we provide the customer with insight, information beyond the obvious, information they don't have. This is where you want the customer to go, I never thought about it that way. I never looked at it that way. I didn't know about that. This is providing insight. This is the educational piece. Now, if you've empathized with the customer, then you've taken the time to educate them, and you've done a good job because you've provided a lot of value in terms of feature, benefit, insight, how it could help them, how it could benefit them. Then the next step is to really empower them to make a decision to go forward or not. Hopefully, to go forward. Now, keep in mind, customers don't want to be pressured. We're going to talk about that in just a bit. So again, let's walk through the presentation process. You're in the meeting, one-on-one or one-on-two, and the first step is to empathize. Ask great questions. Find out as much as you can before you start talking about your product or service. Then go to the next step, which is to educate. Educate your customer on things that you have. Remember, feature, benefits, insight, information beyond the obvious. Again, what you want to do is provide information you know the customer doesn't have, but will enlighten them to a point they'll go, I really want to think about this. Now, the last step is to empower them to make a decision. Now, let's go to the next audio series and let's talk about closing the deal, so to speak, empowering them to make a decision. But for this step right here, I want you to keep in mind, it's all about first understanding the 3 to 5 objections your customers typically have. Then, when we enter the presentation process, when we start talking, first we begin by empathizing, asking questions, and then we move to the educational piece. The educational piece, we're going to provide the insight, and we're also going to try to address some of the objections that they have or reasons they don't want to buy. The last step is to talk about empowering them to make a decision. Let's go to the next audio in the series, and let's talk about proposing pricing or getting them to commit to buying your product or service. Here we go.